तदो जयमुदीरयेत् शीन्वितं स्वकान्तकृष्णा पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हि अभद्राणि विधुनोतु सुहृत्सतम् नष्टप्राये शिवभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवते उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैस्तिकी. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, The Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 18, Prithu Maharaj milks the Earth planet, and verses 1 to 32. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachyatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I would like to seek blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas and thank you for an opportunity to purify myself. And please forgive me for any shortcomings. So we are in the fourth canto, the creation of the fourth order, and the chapter 18th. Yesterday, Prabhu gave summary of chapter 17th. Maharaj Prithu becomes angry at the earth. Just to recap quickly about chapter 17th, after Prithu appearance, Prithu was enthroned by the great sages and Brahmanas as a king and declared to be the protector of the citizens. However, there was a scarcity of the food grains. So the citizens actually became skinny due to the starvation because of the scarcity. So therefore, they came before the king and informed him of the real situation. And after hearing the people's lamentation and seeing the pitiable condition of the citizens, King Prithu contemplated this matter for a long time to see if he could find out the underlying cause. Finally, King concluded that Earth is at fault for not producing the grains and went after the Earth to kill her. Earth assumed the cow and tried to run away, but could not get shelter anywhere in the universe. Knowing that no one can save her, Earth started glorifying the Prithu Maharaj and also made several arguments that she is not at fault and she cannot be killed for various reasons. And she claimed that she is a woman and the creation of one of the Prithu's energy and composed of the three modes of the material nature and so on and so forth. And finally agrees she was bewildered by God's activities. So this was the summary of the chapter 17th. Now we will talk about the chapter 18th. Prithu Maharaj milks the earth planet. First verse talks about the narration of Maitreya Muni to Vidra about the situation of the earth after the planet Earth finished her prayers. King Prithu was still not pacified, and his lips trembled in great anger. Although the planet Earth was frightened, she made up her mind and began to speak in order to convince the King Prithu. And in the second verse, Earth requests the Prithu to pacify his anger completely and hear patiently whatever Earth submits before Prithu. It says, please turn your kind attention to this. I may be very poor, but learned man takes the essence knowledge from all places, just as a bumblebee collects honey from each and every flower. And the third and fourth verse talks about various methods prescribed by the sages how to enjoy the life easily with many pleasures. And the fifth verse talks about foolish person who manufacture his own ways and means through mental speculation and does not recognize the authority of the sages who lay down unimperishable directions is simply unsuccessful again and again in his attempts. And in the sixth verse, Earth continues telling about who is using the seeds, roots, herbs, and grains currently, which was created by the Lord Brahma in the past. It says that all are being used by non devotees currently, who are devoid of all spiritual understanding. And coming to the eighth verse, earth reveals why it is not producing the grains. It says to the king, my dear king, not only are the grains and herbs being used by the non devotees, but as far as I am concerned, I am not being properly maintained. Indeed, I am being neglected by kings who are not punishing these rascals, who have turned into thieves by using the grains for sense gratification. Consequently, I have hidden all these seeds which were meant for the performance of sacrifice. And in the ninth verse, it explains why the seeds hidden in her got expired. It says, due to being stocked for a very long time, all the grain seeds within me have certainly deteriorated. Therefore, you should immediately arrange to take these seeds out by the standard process, which is recommended by the Acharyas and Sastras. Coming to the 10th verse, it suggests Prithu Maharaj how he can get grains and milk from her. Earth states that, O great hero, protector of living entities, if you desire to relieve the living entity by supplying them sufficient grain, and if you desire to nourish them by taking milk from me, you should make arrangements to bring a calf suitable for this purpose and a pot in which the milk can be kept, as well as a milkman to do the work. Since I will be very much affectionate towards my calf, your desire to take milk from me will be fulfilled. In the 11th verse, Earth asks to level the surface so that the rainfall will remain on the surface of the globe and always keep the earth moistened. And thus, it will be auspicious for all kind of the production. And verse 12 talks about how Prithu Maharaj pacified by the earth, auspicious and pleasing words of the earth. The king accepted them, all the glory, all the praisings from the earth. He then transformed Swayambhuva Manu into a calf and milked all the herbs and grains from the earth in the form of a cow, keeping them in his cupped hands. And verse 13 talks about the citizens followed by the King Prithu in taking what they want from the earth. It says that others who were as intelligent as King Prithu also took the essence out of the earthly planet. Indeed, everyone took this opportunity to follow in the footsteps of King Prithu and get whatever they desired from the planet Earth. And verse 14 narrates about how the sages benefited and how they transformed Bruhaspati into a calf and making the senses into a pot. They milked all kind of the Vedic knowledge to purify words, mind, and hearing. Verse 15 tells how Indra became a calf and from the earth, how they milked the beverage Soma, which is a nectar. And what happened after drinking of soma? They became very powerful in mental speculation and bodily and sensual strength. Verse 16 talks about how the sons of Diti and the demons transformed Prahlad Maharaj, who was born in an Asura family, into a calf. And they extracted various kinds of liquor and beer, which they put into a pot made of iron. Verse 17 narrates how inhabitants of Gandharvaloka and Apsarloka made Viswasa into a calf, and they drew the milk into a lotus flower pot. The milk took the shape of the sweet musical art and beauty. Verse 18 says that the fortunate inhabitants of Pitraloka, who preside over the funeral ceremonies, made Aryama into a calf. With great faith, they milked Kavya, food offers to the ancestors, into an unbaked earthen pot. And verse 19 talks about how the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, as well as the inhabitants of Vidyadharaloka, transformed the great sage Kapila into a calf and making the whole sky into a pot. They milked out specific yogic mystic powers, beginning with anima. Indeed, the inhabitants of Vidyadharaloka acquired the art of flying in the sky. Coming to the 20 verse, it talks about inhabitants of a planet known as Chimpurushaloka, made the demon Maya into a calf, and they milked out mystic powers by which one can disappear immediately from another's vision and appear again in a different form. Verse 21 narrates about yakshas, rakshasas, ghosts, and witches, and how they milked the earth. These are habituated to eating flesh, transformed Lord Shiva's incarnation Rudra into a calf, and milked out beverages made of blood and put them in a pot made of skulls. Verse 22 talks about cobras and snakes, large snakes, scorpions, and many other poisonous animals took poison out of the plant earth as their milk and kept this poison in snake holes. They made a calf out of takshaka. And in the later verses 23 and 24, it talks about cows, tigers, birds, and how they milked the earth and what they got. These four-legged animals like cows made up of calf out of the bull who carries Lord Shiva and made a milking pot out of the forest. Thus, they got fresh green grass to eat. Ferocious animals like tigers transformed a lion into a calf, and thus they were able to get flesh for milk. The birds made of calf out of a Garuda and took milk from the planet Earth in the form of a moving insects and non-moving plants and grasses. Verse 25 talks about trees and mountains. The tree is made up of calf out of the banyan tree, and thus they delivered milk in the form of many delicious juices. The mountains transformed the Himalayas into a calf, and they milked a variety of minerals into a pot made of the peaks of hills. And verse 26 talks about how everyone is satisfied by getting what they want from the earth. The planet Earth supplied everyone their respective food during the time of King Prudu. The earth was fully under the control of King Prudu. Thus, all the inhabitants of the earth could get their food supply by creating various types of calves and putting their particular type of milk in various pots. And in verse 27, so Maitreya Muni continues his narration to Vidra about getting various foodstuff from the earth. And verse 28 talks about how he developed affection towards the earth as his own daughter. The King Prudu was very affectionate with the planet Earth, for she sufficiently supplied all food to various living entities. So King Prudu developed affection as his own daughter. So, and verse 29 talks about how he leveled the earth. And Maharaja Prudu leveled all rough surfaces on the earth of the globe by breaking up the hills with the strength of his bow. And by his grace, the surface of the globe almost became flat. And verse 30 talks about how he distributed the land after leveling. All the citizens of the state, King Prudu was a good as father. Thus, he was visibly engaged in giving them proper subsistence and proper employment for subsistence. So, after leveling the surface of the globe, King Prudu Maharaj earmarked the different places for residential quarters as much as they were desirable. And verse 31 talks about how he made villages, towns, and forts, residence places, stables for the animals, places for the royal camps, mining places, agriculture towns, and maintained villages. Verse 32, the last verse, talks about the formation of a different living places like villages and towns. Before the reign of the King Prudu, there was no planned management for different cities, villages, pasturing grounds, etc. Everything was scattered, and everyone constructed his residential quarters according to his own convenience. However, from the time of King Prudu, plans were made for towns and villages. So, in summary, after threatening to kill the earth discussed at length about why it had hidden all the grains, milk, and others. Finally, earth agreed to give away everything that was hidden. While Prudumaras extracting grains, many people from animals to various kind of the peoples start following the Prudumaras and took what they want from the earth through calf. Finally, Prudu Maharaj was so pleased and considered earth as his own daughter. So, with this, I conclude. Vancha kalpya tarbhyacha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare